Good evening, and welcome to the Manifest Enlightenment and Soar Show with host Kipling Sanders, myself, and guest Michael Hendricks today. Good evening, and welcome to the Manifest Enlightenment and Soar Show with host Kipling Sanders, myself, and guest Michael Hendricks today. Visiting from where?
North Carolina at the moment.
North Carolina. Here we are in our home base, Sarasota, Florida. Sometimes we take the show on the road. This week we're in lovely Sarasota. So ultimately, Michael, you have a great story. You have a great story. Everyone in recovery has a great story or tale to tell. Truly. When was it you got sober? What year?
So I got sober in 2011. So this year, coming up on 13 years. Yeah.
Nice. I got sober too. My last drink of alcohol was 2012, January 4th, 2012.
I remember.
So, yeah. And it's been a journey as we journey forward in our wonderful lives. For others to learn and educate themselves on a subject of alcoholism per se, drugs, how did you know you were ready to stop and you had enough out there or in your own personal life?
Yeah, I think for me, it took the experience of failure to come to the realization that I was done. What I mean by that is, before I got sober in 2011, I had a year where I went to rehab. I tried doing things my own way. I didn't realize the actual severity of the disease that had me by its grips, and I felt that I would be able to kind of fix it myself without any programs or help or therapy or anything like that. And when I tried those different paths for about a year and I didn't have the results that I wanted, I always went back to drinking and using. I realized then that I needed to make significant changes in order to cut the addiction. And that's when, I kind of reached this ego deflation moment in my own life where I knew that under my own devices, I wasn't powerful enough to, cut the cord from alcohol and drugs. That I was finally able to make that change, but that ego deflating moment was soul crushing.
Sure.
But I'm grateful for it.
Wonderful. You've written a memoir. Michael, you've written a memoir in 2022 in 6 months. Are you planning? Please tell me about that project. And are you planning to publish that ever at some point?
Yeah, I would hope so. The memoir is basically a storyline about my life. Obviously, it's a memoir. It has 3 concurrent storylines that run through the book. One is kind of my life in childhood up until I had my first drink. The second timeline is the actual journey through drinking and using. And the third storyline is sobriety and recovery and what that has looked like in my life. And those stories kind of run concurrently. As I said, they weave in and out with each other, and they come to a hopeful conclusion. I would hope for the reader, but it's something that I've thought about for a lot of years. Trying to write, I never could get over the hurdle of actually writing it on a consistent basis and completing it until I kind of came up with some suggestions and implemented them in my life.
Where did you get those suggestions from? Because it was like 2010 method, if you will.
Yeah. So it's, I implemented writing sprints. So basically, write for 20 minutes straight, no matter what comes out, and then take 10 minutes off, and then do 20 minutes again with the break at the end. But basically, I did 1 hour a day for each day for a week, Monday through Friday. I treated it like a job, and I got it from YouTube. I get a lot of my self-help, tips and tricks from YouTube, and that was one of them. The thing that really appealed to me for that was the importance of outlining. So,
wow. Absolutely.
I would outline the entire book first, and then I would have, different chapters intermixed with that, with different topics that were going to be in each chapter. And then for each of those topics, that would be the writing sprint for that day.
Wow.
So I knew I only had to focus on that one thing, and so it felt like I was writing a lot of short stories.
Tell me about this writing sprint. I love it. I love this writing
So
sprint.
basically, I take out my phone and I turn on the stopwatch.
Yeah.
I put away anything that would get in the way of, as best as I can, that would take my attention from writing. And so, silence the phone, the texting, the apps, all of that's got to go just for 1 hour a day. And I would just hit start on the stopwatch, and I would just type according to whatever the topic is for my outline for 20 minutes. And then I would take 10 minutes off. I still wouldn't check my phone or do anything like that, because that could be a trap. That would lead into longer than 10 minutes. But I would just relax and ease my mind, and then 10 minutes would go by and I would hit start again and I would do another 20 minutes and whatever it was at the end of that. But generally for me, that would give me about 1,000 words written. And if you can write 1,000 words a day in about 3 months of doing that, you'll have enough for a good first draft.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was my experience. So as far as publishing, I would love to get it published. I wrote the book in 3 months, but then I did a revise for 3 months. Mm-hmm. So now I have basically a good revised draft of my memoir. I want to go through it one more time while I'm on the road traveling here in a few months.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, it's shopping it around with literary agents, sending out query letters and getting rejected dozens of times, I'm sure, and then finding that one person that really attaches themselves to the story and thinks that it's worth sharing with the public. So, that's all upcoming, and I would love to be able to help people with this book, because I think it has a lot of hope in it.
A lot of hope, inspiration, and exciting, insightful stories for many to learn from. Grad school, exactly what? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it is. It's a journey. It was something that I thought I was prepared for, but I wasn't prepared until I got there. Part of my recovery path was going back to school, and I ended up getting accepted into Vanderbilt for political science.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It was their PhD program. There are a lot of smart people there. And the one thing that I wasn't expecting, but I dealt with on a daily basis multiple times a day, is imposter syndrome. So, basically for people, I'm sure people are aware of it, but, kind of thinking, when is the shoe going to drop? When are these people going to realize that they made a mistake with, me being at their university, and they're going to be like, this guy doesn't get it at all, you got to go. And so I dealt with that a lot. Grad school is full of a lot of pressure. There's constant ebbs and flows to, if you feel like you gave somebody a good suggestion or a good answer, you're on top of the world. And then, maybe 2 hours later, you're told, this isn't good enough, and you have to deal with kind of the ego deflation that comes from that as well, the rejection. And, grad school is a place that is full of, B pluses and A minuses, because there's always room for improvement in grad school, at least in my experience with my advisors. But overall, I feel extremely grateful that I was able to go through that process. Not many people get to do, the thing that I've been able to do with sobriety, and it was a great experience, and it took a lot of work.
Good job, Michael Jude Hendricks.
Thank you.
Great work. Catapulted into the next dimension after getting sober. You found yourself at University of Florida.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Sure. I had gone through this phase of my life. There's a little bit of a prologue that goes into this, but one of the biggest things that I had issues with before I got sober, and even in the first maybe year of my sobriety, was I did not know what my purpose on earth was. I didn't know what my desires were, like what I was even interested in. And one of the things that my first sponsor told me to do was to focus on something for just 1 hour a day that interested me. And it could be recovery related or not, it didn't matter. But he wanted me to follow that wherever it led me. Wow. And for the first maybe week or so, it was just going to the beach and watching the sunset at Siesta Beach. After that, it was in 2011, so it was right around the time that Occupy Wall Street was a thing in Manhattan. And I had no idea. I didn't pay much attention to politics or activism or anything like that, but that became a source of curiosity for me. Oh. And I started to investigate like what they were doing and what their stance was on things, and kind of it led me down a path of activism and advocacy. And I ended up ultimately starting a nonprofit that didn't pan out yet. And but
what is the name of this nonprofit?
So this was called The Hall, and it was an online social media style website that was revolving around more direct democratic tools for citizens to use in democracy.
Yeah.
So basically what ended up happening from that is I realized that I did have passions in life. I did have desires, and a friend from the East Coast of Florida recommended to me that maybe I go back to school for political science.
Right.
And I went back to school here locally at State College of Florida. That's where I finished my associate's degree. And when I was done with my associate's degree, I put some applications out to do my bachelor's degree all across the country, but I really wanted to stay in Florida for the cost. And I got accepted at Florida State and University of Florida. And University of Florida said, we'll pay for your classes. So it was an easy choice.
Come on, Gators, get up and go.
Yeah, so I ended up choosing University of Florida, and I completed their bachelor program. I was technically a transfer student.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And one of the most amazing things happened as I was finishing my road there was
Good job, Michael.
I was asked to send in an application for the Outstanding Scholar Award.
Wow!
And I did that with some recommendations, and I ended up actually being awarded the award. And thank you. The really cool thing about that is
what is the Scholar Award?
So it's the Outstanding Scholar Award. It's just given to a student that has contributed a lot to the students on campus, to the university, getting good grades. I had a 4.0.
Yeah.
And
I was going to mention.
And basically, what ended up happening is I got to sit on stage at the graduation ceremony with all the students kind of in front.
What? Did I get this? You got to sit on stage with everyone and meditate?
No. There was no meditating there.
Okay.
There was no meditating there. But
joking.
But I got to sit right next to the president of the university with 20,000 people in the basketball stadium.
Incredible.
My family got to come from North Carolina and from here in Sarasota. They all met up in Gainesville.
Or the Zaptec Arena.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is, I'm sitting there with the president of the university right there, getting this award, and like nobody had any idea that just 6-7 years before that, I had times where I was living out of my car. Nobody from my family wanted to talk to me. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any purpose in life. And here I was getting this award from this university with my family sitting there on the balcony, who all came to support me at that point because we had mended our relationships, and it was something that I'll never forget.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember, in my time when I was ready, when I had enough to share for all the people out there that may be confused, maybe trying to stop or quit a chemical or get their lives going and thriving in the right direction. It just takes one step at a time, one baby step at a time, and one foot in front of the other. And I recommend 12-step programs. I recommend counseling. I recommend therapy or seeing a psychologist. And getting in touch with your higher self. Getting in touch with your true self. Because before we were born, ladies and gentlemen, not just before we were born, they say we picked our own story, actually, in some theoretical outlooks on life, if you want to talk about philosophical stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But after we're born, we're all babies, and we're innocent and clean, and there's no real world stuff that we get to, or desires or stuff like that, because we're clean and cleansed. What happens is the world, and it happened upon me too, the world just, the realities just ate people apart. It was just insidious sometimes, Like, I would think about drinking, and I'm like, why am I picking up this drink? And I would still drink it anyways. I remember thinking that, and then shortly after that, I actually stopped.
Right.
Yeah, that was I was in college at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University at my off-campus apartment house at the time, and oh my God, if you're in that situation, or if you're in that place, now is the time to stop and get the help, so you can move forward and grow and flourish. Yeah. Just like a living example of Mr. Michael Jude Hendricks here, and myself, Mr. Kipling Luke Sanders.
There's help available for anybody 24 hours a day. Whenever somebody decides, that at this moment, or they're given the gift of grace to come to the decision that it's time to put down, whatever is ailing them, the help is out there for sure. And, you were talking a little bit about small steps, taking one step at a time.
Sure.
And there have been many, many times in my sobriety where I felt overwhelmed. There's too much going on, too many responsibilities. Life's too good, even sometimes. And I don't know how to handle it. And I like to kind of picture my life sometimes as just keeping my head down, looking down at just my feet, and taking those one steps at a time. But I'm going up this mountain, and eventually, every once in a while, Kip, I will look around. I'll look around and I'll see that I am on the side of a mountain. And it's terrifying. But it's all fear. It's all fear-based. And what I have to do is recenter myself, live in the now, understand that I have the ability to continue going because I made it this far already. Exactly. And there's nothing left to do but just put my head down again and continue taking one step at a time, and know that whatever's out there, it's got my back. And I also have a lot of friends these days.
Amen.
That are
shout out to everyone out there who's listening to this.
So support and having a sense of a higher calling and feeling kind of the power of things that are greater than myself helping me in my life. One of the great adages that I'm sure you've heard before is, I wasn't saved from the shipwreck to be clubbed, kind of on the beach. God didn't carry me to the beach in order to just be left alone there. So, there's continued hope.
Yeah, definitely. Continued hope. Good luck. Each one of you grow, flourish in your journey. Everyone grow and flourish in your journeys.
Absolutely.
Michael, Mr. Hendricks. Oh, that's so cool! I just realized that! You call it Mr. Hendricks! How cool is that? Just popped up. Yeah. I just figured that out, by the way. Yeah. So, political science, ladies and gentlemen. Balancing in the playing field. What is your outlook on either Republican or Democrat stance, or what could be changed or improved in your outlook?
Those are massive questions. I think some people spend their lifetime trying to figure them out. But obviously I have opinions. I think everybody has opinions on the political process. Even not having an opinion is an opinion. For people that aren't aware of that, when they say I don't want to get involved in politics, well, you're making a political decision at that point.
You suggest people vote?
I do suggest that people vote. I think it's important. One of the things that I have learned, however, over the years with my studies, I studied American political voter behavior at Vanderbilt. That's what I went to graduate school for. So I studied behaviors and attitudes of groups when it comes to politics. I do believe that, personally, that, we live in a society that has corporatized our our democratic process. You know, some people call it an oligarchy, some people call it, you know, plutocracy. But our corporations have a very strong stranglehold over the politicians that exist at pretty much all levels of politics. And I think that while voting is important, a lot of times the recognition that our politicians give to the citizens that put them into office leaves a lot to be desired. I don't believe that a majority of time the people are listened to with what their wants and desires are from our politicians, and I think they're more inclined to listen to the donations and fundraising money that comes in from big ticket, you know, elites and corporations. Yeah.
Thanks for your perspective and outlook on that.
Yeah, sure. That was one of the reasons why I was so, you know, infatuated with this nonprofit that I started, the Hall, because I think that when we're talking about democracy, it should be, you know, when we first started, you know, our republic, it was sending people from whatever town or land that they existed in, and you would send your representative off to Washington because you couldn't possibly have, you know, the voice of your entire group at, you know, at the table to give a talk or give the opinion of the people. But I believe that we live in a world nowadays, we're so interconnected with technology that people you don't necessarily need a representative to go to Washington to represent your own feelings. You can give your own feelings and opinions. And we have that capability. So I think it's implementing some sort of system like that could really take our democracy and the things that are important to us to the next level, so that they're actually seen and heard.
100%. I actually, when I was speaking at the time of the mayor of Sarasota, Kyle Batty, he mentioned that they had were trying to implement a system where, you know, somehow where people could just go to a website, you know, and submit this information, but not enough people know about it. You know, so being able to submit, you know, if it's this, that, or whatever, A, B, C, or D, whatever the X variable factor may be, as per individual. But Mark Strickland too, when I was in Miami, had him on my show a few times, in fact. He was saying, for the community or for the individuals, go to your local mayor, go to your local congressman. You know, don't necessarily go to write letters to the vice president or the president of the United States of America. You know, he's not going to see those most often or ever, in fact, really. But you have to start going to your local congressman, your local commissioners, and basically reach out to them, and you'll be surprised what kind of rebounds, overcoming stories, and opportunities there could be to have a Cinderella story. How about that?
I think you're right. I think that, you know, politics.
They want to help.
Exactly. Yeah. I think a lot of change really will start, if we're talking about the federal level, a lot of the change there will start with change at the local level. I think if we change our communities and the foundation, just like anything in life, you know, if we have a strong foundation, it'll really build up and, you know, take over kind of how everybody kind of wants to see our entire country exist and operate. Right now, like I said, I think we're going to have a lot of difficulties with real change at the federal level, just based off of kind of corporate influence. And I think that's our number one issue, is kind of getting big money out of politics and the stranglehold that corporations have over our legislation.
Right. Interesting. Thank you for that. You mean the government hasn't revealed to us that there's aliens yet?
I think they have. They started doing that.
There's some channel on like a stream you can get.
Right.
Do you think that people in the United States of America, or even hypothetically globally, can learn a system, ladies and gentlemen, to agree to disagree intellectually, to where there's less confliction or conflicts, and then in relationships, families, businesses going against each other, things like that. Not that those things are good. It's good to have a business thriving and another business thriving, helping each other reach the top. But what's your outlook?
Yeah, I think man, I don't want to be too pessimistic.
Yeah.
But I think anything's possible.
Yeah.
I think, however, the current system and state of the world that we reside in is a very competitive one.
It is.
I don't want to rail on capitalism or anything like that, but I think that it does teach us a lot of lessons about why we are where we are in the world, because capitalism is all about competition. It's about beating your competitor. It's very cutthroat. I think, we're constantly taught in our life to win. And there are important elements of what happens to a person when they win. It gives them the confidence to continue moving forward for the next goal that they have in life. But in order to agree to disagree, people have to be okay with compromise and not getting entirely what they want all the time. And if we're talking about politics, we're talking about...
Down to, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
It comes down to selfishness to a degree.
To a degree, it does, yeah, and winning. There's a lot of research out there on in-groups and out-groups, and I think one thing that...
So what it would take would be for people, or these men and women, they, theirs, or whomever, to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
To change within them oneself, for an individual to change within oneself, to not want to have to conquer another,
Exactly.
or defeat another. So much ego comes out of that. It takes to be being selfless is the key.
I think so, and I think for more people, for the majority of people to be selfless, I think it needs to be taught more that is something that's okay. We start out with kids, in a sandbox, and we talk about sharing. We're talking about give to another person, but somewhere along the way, I think we really lose kind of that sharing approach with our neighbor, and allowing people to just be. If some people want to be a certain way, let them. If some people want something, let them have it. If this group doesn't want to have it, then that's okay too.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that has really kind of impeded the process of agree to disagree is kind of the state and nature of our media. I think our media does a great job at division.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their favorite radio host or television host or program or channel, and those things are very powerful at dividing our nation. Dividing our people and really seeing other people as enemies. There was a really interesting report that I read from a journal article while I was at Vanderbilt, where they studied when a girl and a boy come together, they interviewed their parents or gave them surveys and asked them, would you prefer if the person that your son or daughter is dating to be of the opposite political party as you, or
that's a little perturbing.
Or would you prefer that they were a felon or someone of another race? And what they found was that these stereotypes that we have of there's probably a lot of parents, that are a little backwards that wouldn't want their son or daughter dating someone of the opposite race.
Right.
But they actually found that they preferred the least that their son or daughter dated someone of the opposite political party. That gravitate, if you're in a Republican household, they would almost hate kind of the person from the Democratic platform.
That's a very interesting factor, and I'm not sure if I or others feel like that's an important topic to bring attention to or focus, because somewhere along the lines, I believe an equilibrium law.
Yeah.
A new law. How do laws get made? People propose them? Or?
Yeah, people submit bills.
We'll talk after this show.
Yeah. But the only reason why I kind of bring up that journal article is to show when we're talking about agreeing to disagree, when people are being implanted subconscious or overtly or sometimes covertly,
and
they're being drilled into their brain that the enemy is the enemy of this party, this other party that you don't agree with,
or factor whatever the fear might be for the specific individual.
Exactly. You get into in-groups and out-groups. An in-group, out-group that is a very strong bond, and you want to keep the out-group away and you want to keep the in-group in-group close, but if we can somehow soften the barrier between in-group and out-group, specifically with parties, then I think we get closer to what you're talking about with agree to disagree.
Yeah, I hope people can soften up a little bit on whatever party, just soften up so we can have a better future for mankind and the next generations to come. So maybe possibly even the next generations wouldn't even have to go through what we're going through.
Yeah,
you know,
turn off MSNBC, turn off Rush Limbaugh, turn off whatever on either side. Just turn it off. It's doing more harm than good. And I think focus more on the local community that you live in and building it up and making it inclusive and a powerful driving force. That's something that the federal level can look at and say that's a loving community.
Yeah, exactly. That's a prototype loving community.
Yeah.
And actually, in fact, Mr. Commissioner Eric Arroyo, he said that he wanted to make Sarasota the #1 city in, I think, the world, or in the country, because that was one of his goals, which is, he's not commissioner anymore, but there's a new commissioner. So that's something that Sarasota strives for, is to be the finest, or to be the best at what they're doing, and be a prototype for other examples. Let me stop there, but also let me continue and go a little deeper to where, most people don't even realize that 30% of the news is regulated. It's ran by people and paid for by people that want you to experience what you're experiencing. If it's fear, despair, doubt, terror, or anything of that sort, or unbalanced, it's working.
It really
so
is.
just be aware and more mindful, to where you're not destroying your mind, your soul, your spirit, and your heart to the material things in the world.
Yeah.
Whether it be the news, whether it be anything else negative, or whatever the case may be for the individual. But you can overcome it. My grandmother told my mom that we keep growing and learning to the day we die. And my grandmother was like 90 at the time. And so that's very powerful for people to realize. Michael, if you had 1 or 2 messages for people, what would it be?
So one message that I would have for people is I've been doing a lot of work lately on living in the now. If I am, I've been reading Eckhart Tolle. The Power
Recommend
of Now.
The Power of Now. Definitely.
Yeah.
Go out there and experience it so you can get rid of all your fears.
Yeah, it was a great
Live
book.
in the moment.
A great book. Being able to surrender to the now, and what I mean by that, very briefly, based off of his work, is if you have a thought, something that comes into your brain, you can say to yourself, "Oh, that's crazy, that thought that I just had." And then what he teaches is, well, who said that was crazy in your own head? And it's the observer of your thoughts. And what he says is that we can observe the thoughts that come from our ego. And when we do that and we come to a place of self, we are living in our conscious. And what that actually means then is that we're no longer thinking and regretting things from the past. We're no longer fearful of the future, because we're living and breathing in the moment where we don't have any problems. In this moment, we don't have any problems. We might think that we do, but they are always in the future, or they always just happened. So I would say for anybody out there that's struggling or wants life advice, it's to really start living in the moment.
In the house.
Sorry. No, you're good.
Eckhart Tolle in the house, in case you didn't hear that.
Really, powerful stuff. It really teaches me, at least, that I can handle any situation, just like those small steps. If I'm able to live in the moment, I'm able to take that next step, because it doesn't seem as big of a mountain or a hill to climb.
Amen. It's become easier for us. Hopefully it becomes easier for you. Mr. Hendricks, do you think there could be peace on earth someday?
That is that's a tough question. I would say yes. I think the answer is yes. I think there have to be fundamental changes, though, to the way that we govern ourselves, and the way that governance is aligned with money and corporations and power and resources and everything like that. Because as long as as long as that is at play and there's high levels of competition. I don't think competition's wrong, but when it's to the point where we kill each other on a mass scale, then there's always going to be retribution and revenge and all those negative things. But I'm hopeful. I am a hopeless, not a hopeless romantic, but I guess in this sense that's what I'll use. But that there can be peace on earth. I think there has to be fundamental changes.
Amen. And I appreciate you answering that humbly, and I hope there can be peace on earth one day.
Yeah.
If not in my generation or in this generation, if generations to come in the future. And the thing is, too, it's biblical, guys. It's biblical. If you look at the Bible, there's 7 years of peace. And it happens after a peace treaty is signed with, I forget, one country and Jerusalem, or Israel. And actually, that was done recently. In 2023 in November.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I was just doing research and I came upon that. I was like, oh my God, does that mean this now?
Right. Yeah.
But, it's just about opportunity. Next question. Mm-hmm. Opportunity. And trying to be the best you can be and striving to reach to help others too. Okay. What is peace to you?
Oh, peace to me is being able to, as I said before, live in the now. When I'm living in the now, I feel the peace of not having any problems. And what I can do from that power is I can help as many people as I possibly can. One of the things that I was told in my early sobriety was that I would be given the tools that I would need to help as many people as I possibly can with my life if I continue to do the next right thing. So if I keep taking the next right action, my life will go in a trajectory in a way that's non-linear, but it's going to go up in quality, and I'll get to a point where I'll have a lot at my disposal to be able to help others. So peace to me is seeing the smile in another person's face if you give and they receive and they enjoy the thing that you've been able to give them. It's listening to another person that has problems in their life, being an ear for them, being a shoulder to cry on. Peace to me is just, it's helping others and feeling the gratitude that I get from being able to not live in the crap that I was living in the past, to be able to show up for others today.
Yeah, me too. And everything he said, I say 100%. Okay. Michael, peace on earth, peaceful earth, earth of peace. What comes to mind?
Honestly, when I think of that, I imagine myself kind of in a lush green forest. It's a very
perfect, appropriate
kind of hippie response, But that's what I get. Just kind of like birds chirping, quiet, no fighting, at one with nature. There are other people there. They can or cannot be. It doesn't matter to me.
Sure.
But I feel a sense of calm. Whenever I hear the word peace or peace on earth, I just experience a sense of calm.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Hendricks. And thank you for doing everything you've done and being an inspiration on people you come across and inspiring people to learn how to overcome odds. Just like in my children's book, Overcoming Odds, like Lemur Blue and Michael and me and millions of other people.
Absolutely.
You can too.
Yep.
And when you manifest, when you be about it, you have to, one day if you think about it and act on it, one day you'll be about it. And then you'll show up. And those actions will have marvelous rewards and promises in the future. I can almost promise you, if you show up and do the work that it takes to grow or become a better person or quit the substance that's killing you, it's almost a guarantee. You just have to keep doing the right thing. The next best foot in front of the next best foot, and in front of the next best foot, in front of the next best foot, trudging the road to happy destiny.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. Have a peaceful week. Have a calm and easeful week. A really tranquil week. I hope you grow. work internally, work on yourself, and be nice to your neighbor. Be nice to your fellow man. Be nice to the homeless. Be nice to police officers. They're people too. Just be nice to everyone, because when you put out in the universe, what you put out in the universe comes back in the universe. So why are all these people thinking negative thoughts? You got to scratch that bug out and clear it out. Bring in the medicine man or the medicine woman to do that. Thank you for coming on my show, Manifest, Enlightenment, and Soar. It's been a true pleasure, and peace be with you.
Peace be with you. Thank you, Kit.
Thank you. Namaste.